Sasquatch stories today. It all started about a year ago when I was hunting in the late archery season. I'm a bow hunter, and it was the very last day of the season where I had my most intimate encounters. But building up to that, earlier in the late season, January 2019, I had heard whoop calls at around sunset, and I didn't know what they were, but I would hear them every evening as the sun would go down and it would get dark. And I actually heard several of these calls as if there were several of these beings making these calls, walking through the woods going whoop, 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 whoop. And so I went home to the internet and looked up all the known calls in North America of wildlife, and there are none. The only call that it could possibly have been was that of a Sasquatch. So on my very last day of the season, I decided to gift some food to the very first Sasquatch structure that I had found, which to this day was one that was built for shelter. It was about 6 foot long, just a couple feet high, and built with a fallen down tree as part of the wall, and it was built to shelter a 6 foot human for overnight, no question about it. But I gave a food item there. I walked about 50 yards away, and all of a sudden something whistled at me really loud, like a construction worker would whistle. So I immediately thought, oh, I'm walking into another hunter's area. Muzzleloaders were also allowed to hunt at the time, so I just kind of waved and pointed, although I could never see the source of that whistle. And I just indicated that I'm going this way, you can have this area to hunt. So I did. I walked quite a distance and completed my hunt, and then as I was returning, in the evening, it was getting dark, and while I'm walking through the brush, up in the air, I distinctly heard 4 tones, kind of like do 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 do, just like that. Just once I heard do 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 do. If you're wondering what that could possibly have been, go to Dr. Stephen Greer's website and download the UFO sound. Apparently that's the sound of a UFO coming into the space of where you are. Another example is if you go to the Hellier series on Amazon.com, they also talk about these tones being played. I think it's a way of the worlds connecting to each other, very high level signs that humans are unaware of. So I continued, and I go heading back to my truck and walking down the main trail, and this Sasquatch shelter is situated off to the side of the trail. But right there, before I passed that shelter, I stopped because a whole bunch of deer got pushed out to my right, on the right side of the trail. And it was dark out, not shooting hours, and I just listened to this herd of deer walk out. And then because I was quiet after they had slowed down, it was very quiet, then I heard one more very loud construction type whistle, like really loud, like really loud, and this was very close, maybe 20 yards away. And so I was confused and just didn't know how to process the situation. There was no return, there was no coughing. Had it been another human being, there was no flashlight. And when I looked in the direction of where this call came from, it was just solid brush. I mean, solid brush. There was no way a human could possibly get through there unless, you were in a survival situation. So whatever was in there for hiding purposes. The temperature on this last day was 13 degrees, and I was the only one parked in the hunting area parking spot. I believe I was the only human in the woods that day. And so I returned home, and it took me a few hours to realize that I had been very close to what I believe was Sasquatch beings. And it was at that time that I decided to create this channel. And I I'm honored to bring any evidence I can bring forward to this Sasquatch phenomenon. So far to date, my best evidence videos are the tracks followed videos that I made. There's 2 of them. That's another story for another day. So I hope you enjoyed my introduction to my Sasquatch Encounters.